SEO this week. Welcome everyone to SEO this week, episode 179. Thank you all for joining me. Glad to have you all here. As always, we are streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, and Periscope. Looking for other places to stream too, so we'll see how that all works out. If you want to chat, you have questions, etc., the best bet is to jump onto the YouTube version, and that way that's the one I can actually watch live, though I'm working on getting all of them all at the same time, so that'll be pretty cool in the future. So this week on the show, I wanted to talk about some news that we got going on. I did the roll up and I have that on the website. You can see the link in the description there, and if you're not on YouTube, there's a link right there in the ticker. The news stories are actually kind of decent this week, but there's not too many of them, and I also have a couple tools on there that I think that you'll enjoy using for the either for your agencies or your own businesses and stuff. So with that, one is it's a YouTube video on link building. For the life of me, I can't pronounce her name. Elias, I believe is how you say it. Anyway, she's interviewing two agency owners. It's interesting listening to the perspectives of the two guests that she has on, because they're talking about link building, and one of them is a big brand, and they do a lot of PR outreach for link building, and it's kind of, getting that perspective of how a link builder from a big brand or big brand supporting agency would actually handles it, because as you all know, big brands can attract more attention than a small business. So that's why you hear a lot of people or SEOs that talk about just do content marketing and you do great content and you're going to get backlinks. What they fail to let you know is that those people that are saying that are working for huge monster brands. So when they post a new piece of content, that content tends to pop in really well, and naturally backlinks come up, right? So but a plumber, a personal injury lawyer, a cosmetic dentist, or whatever, you don't have that benefit of big brands. So it's interesting hearing her perspective. And then the other guest talks about probably link building in the way that I would think about it, doing outreach and automating things, but doing it smart, and getting away from the whole, Google or backlinks is going to be bad for you. Which was refreshing, because actually two of the speakers in this video actually talk that way. Like, get away from that impression that backlinks is bad. You have to do it. You have to do link building. And just actually doing it right is kind of a good takeaway from that. So that episode it's a podcast and it's not too bad. Number two is a playlist series from Microsoft. They actually are talking about coding in JavaScript. JavaScript for dummies is kind of how I look about it. As SEOs, kind of why we would need that a little bit is there's some cool JavaScript things that you can actually do as an SEO, not a developer, as an SEO. You can create JavaScript backlinks, use JavaScript for iframes, and there's some other applications of JavaScript that are interesting. So even if you don't want to learn SEO or JavaScript completely, just get a basic understanding of it. It'll help you think of from an SEO perspective, and then you can bounce ideas off of actual JavaScript dev and be able to have a more meaningful conversation. The third one is a story on site speed. It's looking at it from the perspective of how do you deal with all those third-party API calls and scripts on your website that inevitably lower your page speed score. So first off, page speed scores are, I talk about them, and we'll talk some more later when we get into the site audit portion of the show. Is scores are for high school kids or for elementary school or even college if you're trying to get a high GPA, right? That's what scores are good for. Scores are good for sports, but they're not good for page speed optimization. So, but I like how this author approached it versus saying, you need to, optimize all your minification and all that madness. He actually talked about audit the crap that you got on your website and how much it's loading and clean that up. And that's how you handle those third party things. So it was nice and refreshing to hear someone talk that way about page speed optimization. Number 4 is an entity analyzer. It's actually a Python script. They put it all together for you. Really, all you gotta do is kind of follow the instructions, authorize your Google API, and you can compare and contrast. You can take one or two of your competitors, put them in that tool, and it'll tell you what entities they're using and pull out all that stuff out for you so that you can apply it to your content. If you're not using entity and topics and tools like that, you should be. When I published the on-page optimization course, finally get around to do it, or if you're an SIA member already, you have access to the Over the Shoulder series. I talk about my writing process. I'm actually going to put that into SLP format now. One thing I've never done but I'm going to do it now, just because it's what I got going on. I'm freaking killing it right now with even high competition words. I just did one for Digital Lear. I redid the keyword analysis page that I have on there. There's a keyword analysis service I'm going to launch. I redid the content and I got it indexed, and it popped in number 13 for one of the terms and 30 for the hardest one. Keyword analysis is like 33, I think, with no backlinking right now. So if you're not using entity analysis stuff and you're not thinking about that when you're writing your content and creating your content briefs, you're missing out on a lot of opportunities there. Because Google they're not moving away from links. They're never going to move away from votes. You can't take votes out of the equation, and that's what links are, right? But they're getting a whole hell of a lot better of actually understanding what you're writing. So if you're building your stuff out, really cool, it makes it a whole lot easier for Google to understand it. And that's the kind of point behind my writing process. So again, if you're an SIA, you get to see the over the shoulder now as I'm recording it. Otherwise, wait for what ranks to come out with the on-page course, and you can see that. Finally, there's a page speed tool that compares your competitors. It uses Lighthouse and some other Google stuff, the Core Web Vitals. I'm going to caution you to use it, but I'll show you what it does as we move forward into the show. Again, all the links that you can see are on Digital Ear on the post, and that's where I have the roll up now. I've changed a little bit and added my insights into those stories, or at least a better understanding of what you're going to be wasting your time reading before you click on it. So I hope you appreciate that. And that's the news highlights. If you have any questions, you can see I changed the font and the size there, so now we can actually read the live chat. And I'll play with that a little bit more. I think that's a little bit too big, but we'll see how that works out. So as always, as we go through the show today, leave your questions in the chat. As before, I'm going to try to figure out a better way to get the chat in so that we can see everybody from Periscope and Facebook and YouTube all in one. So we'll play with that one more as we go. And with that, we did an audit last week, if you remember, for a Herschen Lion for personal injury attorney. Phoenix is the keyword that we were looking for. And I thought about it, and what I was first originally intending on doing was, let's do a new audit. Let's do a site audit every week, right? The downside of that is you kind of minimize the work that's involved in an audit, and people don't understand the value of it, right? So it's easy for us or as a user to go to a site like My Site Auditor or any of the other tools and drop your URL in there, and then it spits out this thing and ta-da, that's your audit. But anyone who's actually done and worked with SEO knows that there's way more to it. So this week, I'm going to talk about the on-page slide, and then next week we'll do the off-page. And so every audit essentially is going to be a 3-week series. So hopefully that actually gets some more information out of things. It'll help me refine my processes more and help you get more information, and maybe even think about things from your perspective and help things grow. So with that, I'm going to share my screen and we'll bring that up. Okay, so here's the site we did. Hopefully you guys remember. We're going after personal injury attorney Phoenix, and we found it. As you can see, we found it on page 2. They did have, see, they're running ads, and they were on page 2, number 15, the last I saw. There you go. They're number 18. That's unfortunate. Yesterday, they were actually up on page 1. So we'll see what happens. I actually gave them a backlink on the post for the show this week, just because they're, we're using their website, so why not? So I sent them a backlink, so maybe that'll knock them into page 1 territory. That'd be pretty cool. Anyway, so I wanted to break this down from an on-page perspective and just some things that we need to look at. And as a SEO, one of the most important things that I think that we can look at is actually site structure, how the page is built out, and not so much like silo stuff. You know what I'm talking about? I want to outline for the content and how we're doing that with the H tags and stuff. And I glaze this over a little bit, and I wanted to kind of explain my thinking. That way you all understood, what the hell is going on. So we have this, this normal H1, H2, H3, H4, right? And then, as you all know, there's H5, H6 that you can do as well. But basically, what we want to do is create a content outline with what is going on in the heading tags. And there's an interesting talk from Gary Illes, is that how you say his name? This week on the podcast, where he specifically mentioned I'm trying to open this image up and talk at the same time, and I'm horrible at multitasking, so hold on a second. Anyway, he specifically talked about how header tags are used to categorize the content. And most people don't even think about that. There's especially designers, right? So that's how you find images and logos and H1 tags and all that madness, because they don't think about it that way. And I've probably been teaching this content outline method forever. And there's some other people that have picked it up, but at the end of the day, what you're looking at is really how you do it. So there's H1 is the introduction. You talk about, under that first paragraph, what is the page about? Then you do H2s and H3s and H4s, H2s and H3s for your substructure. And then you close it out with an H4 tag, which is essentially your conclusion. And you only have one H1 and you should only have one H4. Obviously that's a rule. It's not a guideline, not a hard set rule. You can obviously have multiple H1s if you want to, if you're into that sort of thing. And I know people that are doing multiple H1s and they put it to display none so they can have, they meet the tools, but whatever. But as a guideline, when you're building this out, you always want to have these things relevant to your content. And Gary Illes, in that podcast that I heard, said as much specifically. Google determines what is on your page based off of your H tags and the organization of your H tags. So when we look at a website like this, and I tell you, and I'm saying things like you want to get rid of this one, get rid of that one. That's essentially why Google's confirmed it. So this is the primary keyword that I'm targeting, and it has Phoenix in there, personal injury in there, and lawyer, and those are, at the end of the day, those are my topics. All of your H tags have to have or should have your topics. If it doesn't have your topic or words really closely related to it, you're throwing Google off. And some things that you keep in mind, like when I say I would remove these lawyer offices, practice areas, you have to really think about topics from an NLP standpoint. And is a practice associated with lawyers? So if Google thinks, or your NLP APIs think, that practice is related to lawyer, maybe you leave it in there. But from a practical perspective, just in an outline, building it on topic, I wouldn't have practice areas in here. I wouldn't have this in here because it doesn't say Phoenix, personal injury, or lawyer, or the synonym attorney, right? This one is a good one, certified personal injury specialist. That's related. And then these two are kind of like, yeah, these are our offices. But again, it doesn't say personal injury, it doesn't say Phoenix, it doesn't say lawyer. So is office associated with the topic of personal injury lawyer in here? So you would look at an NLP tool to figure that out. Phrase, cognitive, surfer, whatever your poison is, you figure that out and see if it's related in there. The new one that I like, just getting a little bit off topic, is inlinks, and inlinks is really cool. So maybe I'll do a show about that, talking about how to use that and optimizing content. That might actually be better than going right into link building. Back on track is same with the H3s. You look in here. So Arizona, that's kind of on topic, so I would leave it. This is definitely not. This is 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 not, and this is not. So this is, if you read this, you're kind of filing an insurance claim, right? And doing claims and stuff. Insurance companies, settlements, insurance company. He's throwing Google off with these headings because your topic is personal injury lawyer. These might be considered by the algorithm to be significantly related, but they're so much far off that this is really, if you're a robot, insurance companies and settlements and insurance claims kind of all tie together, not so much personal injury lawyer, right? So the H3s definitely need to be cleaned up on this website in order to help that out. This one is okay just because there's personal injury lawyer and there's Phoenix. So you're kind of good there. And then claim review, we see that claim again. Again, we would look and see if is claim on topic. Is it a supporting topic for personal injury lawyer under the analysis of keyword analysis? And then finally, the H4. Always have an H4, always closing, and I always have the exact match in the H4. So there should be one of these down here somewhere. Contact the Phoenix personal, Hirschen Law Phoenix personal injury lawyers today as part of your closing call to action. That would, that's the easy way to handle that H4. They have it. They don't have it here. They got a call to action here. I just take that call to action and throw that in an H4, and then boom, you're done. The exact match is in your H4. So I think this was an H3. Change it to an H4, and you're good. So there's that part of on page, and that's kind of how I build the structure out of that. So one thing we need to know now is, what are we going to do to support this? Because if you look at the visualizations, and I glazed over this last time, is the of the website, and you see the structure. I don't really like that one. There we go. This one's a little bit better. There is, let me find it. It's in here somewhere. Phoenix Law. Yeah. See the structure. These are all, I don't even know if you can read those. Hopefully you can, but all these little nodes right here are all set to the blog. And then all of these are all pointing at the homepage. Is kind of, and their blog posts in there intermixed with homepages, etc., which kind of screws things up a little bit. And here's some more. This is the Phoenix about case studies. And this one's a sitemap, videos, and pedestrian accident attorney, which is weird. What do they got pointing at it? Car accident law, reckless driving, distracted driving. My guess is this is the topic cluster right there that they're trying to build. And then wrongful deaths, car accidents. Yeah, see, this isn't very It's not organized the way, we would like to see it. So I want to have a Phoenix page, and then I want to have Phoenix related content to it. So what you can do is go a Sitebulb or not Sitebulb, SE Cockpit or Ahrefs, your favorite keyword tool or whatever, and then you actually have to build this out and find supporting keywords and stuff, right? And you can also do that with schema. You don't necessarily always have to build out one of these silos for your related keywords, especially if they're really tight related keywords. You can do some really kick-ass schema, and I'm going to write the schema out for this page inside of the What Ranks course. I'm gonna use this page and rewrite the schema for it. And what you can do is put all of these related keywords in there. You see they're all really tightly related, but you don't want to put them in your content, so you put them inside of your schema, and you don't have to build out silos. As a side note, just because I saw this today, is they have a version 2, just kind of make this a little bit cleaner and easier to read. So I like that. And you can pull all that stuff out. And as is being tested, I think you can get more keywords than you could if normally in that version 1 for now. But I dropped those inside of a sitemap tool. And what we want to do is kind of look thematically is, can I use all those pages and stuff? And if you use this sitemap tool properly, it's called Keyword Cupid. What you do is you take this list, export it, and then it puts it in here, runs in the background for a whole bit, does some magic and stuff, and then it themes your keywords for you. So if my themes weren't so tight, see personal injury, Phoenix, personal injury, that's just the way that because I only did it for this page. If my themes weren't so tight, it would actually build out silos for me. And I could push this little button, and all these little nodes would tell me, essentially, here's my primary keyword, build out pages for all these little things based off of my keyword research. In this case, I'm looking at it from a perspective of what keywords should I put into my schema that would help associate it even better with this word. So what I told you before, you take all these and put it in your schema rather than doing it willy-nilly. Now I just want to take these 25, and I can put those 25 in my knows about or mentions applications in my schema, and it'll all relate. And then there's weak themes too. If you want to get into that, you can look at weak themes. I don't necessarily use these too often, but there are some opportunities where you can see some additional keywords where you can go for silos, like law firms in Phoenix, and then pop that open and you see law firms in Phoenix and Phoenix lawyer. And this was probably what I would do with the homepage. Okay, so hopefully you guys check out this one, but it's really cool, and it helps you actually take this list and turn it into a good list for your knows about and mentions inside of your schema, versus just going full retard. You just pick the ones that are strongly related to it. And then there's this, it breaks it also down. You can see the single keyword set, but it's kind of bleh. But this tool is a garbage in, garbage out tool. So if you feed it trash, it's going to give you trash. So keep that in mind when you check out Keyword Cupid. It's keywordcupid.com. And one thing I didn't note on here last week, and I caught this when I was looking at this site this weekend, is this page, this home site, the homepage is actually optimized for Phoenix personal injury attorneys as well. And clearly Google's not going to rank this page for that. So what I would do is just rip out all mentions of Phoenix and put Arizona. It says other cities in Arizona, but at the end of the day, they're really only serving the Phoenix metropolitan area, North Phoenix, Surprise, Peoria, Avondale, Scottsdale, Tempe. You can assume Glendale, Mesa, etc. But for the most part, it's not entirely Arizona, but I would just change this to Arizona personal injury attorneys and leave it like that. Maybe they get lucky and get some cases from Flagstaff or something like that, and they can service that. Who knows? But that would boost up the ranking of the other page, the Phoenix page, because this is the one that they're intending. This is the one that Google picked, and my guess is this one actually does a lot better because of the conversion points. There's so many of them. from a CRO perspective. And I'm going to take a drink. Hope you don't mind. Yeah, in the chat, you can see that here. Hold on. Christoph notes that John Mueller insists Google doesn't care about heading tags, and he does. And then Gary Ellis went around and changed that. So, and we know from testing, right? IMG, Ted and Kyle's group, they tested it. I've tested it. SIA has tested it. And there's a ton of other people who looked at it, and everyone and their dog knows that H1 tag is one of the top 5 holy grails things that you want to do to your website. Like if you don't do anything else, you do these top 5 things, and H1 is one of them. So I think I've said it before publicly, and I'll say it again. John Mueller is a great spokesman, but I doubt that dude has ever ranked a real website for a small business, or even much less his own personal blog on his own without the help of someone else. So sometimes you just, sometimes you just make comments, I guess is what it works out to. Does keyword cannibalization play a big role there? I don't think so as much here, right? So we'll look at the backlinks next week, but what I'm thinking is if this wasn't here, it might boost it up a little bit more, right? So it's sending a little bit of mixed signals. It's not enough to keep it horrible down, but it is in 15th position. I think that's where we found it. Where did we find it? 15th, 18th, something like that. Hold on. Yeah, 18th. It might be the difference between 18 and 11. You know what I mean? So it's just, I don't know that it's personal preference, but I would just make this homepage. We are personal injury attorneys. We are personal injury attorneys in Washington, Arizona, and then we do these kind of things: motorcycle, car accident, truck, pedestrian, and link to all of those here in a much better way other than what they got here. So they're trying it. And as you know from the rankings and looking at it, they're quasi successful at this stuff. But I would just rip this out to prevent the keyword cannibalization. But as you can see, it's not that significant as it there. Now let's see. Should we worry about cannibalization? Google seems to A/B test pages regardless if you find the best result. I wouldn't. Let's say, how do I best describe this? If I did a keyword analysis page and then I did a keyword research page, just 2, and I linked them to each other, it's probably not going to be that much of a big deal versus if you did 20 posts on keyword analysis and then link to one main, this is my main topic. You know what I mean? So, it's kind of where you worry about keyword cannibalization. Another good example is if I have if I'm selling a particular product and then I have really minute variations and they all have kind of the same name with one little ticker, sometimes that ding things up inside of an e-commerce store. So in that case, you want to worry about keyword cannibalization. But if you only got like 2 pages, like I said, in this case, there's only 2 pages for Phoenix car accident attorney. It could only be the difference between 18 and 11. It may be even just 1 or 2 bumps. So it's not going to be horrible crazy. But yeah, like Christoph said, your internal linking is really the key there. And that'll direct that even a little bit better. And that's, at the end of the day, that's how you fix keyword cannibalization. You can write 500 posts on your blog about keyword analysis, but as long as the internal anchor text is pointing to 1 with that keyword analysis, Google's going to know this is the most important one. All right, so that is how that goes. All right, let's go back to one more. Even if there wasn't much SV or search volume for surrounding areas, suburbs, when you include pages to grab them for GMB relevancy. I'm kind of pissed off at GMBs right now. I actually did a test. If you don't know Mike Steffens, he's got his Maps Reloaded course, private vault, and then I think there's an inner circle thing too. Definitely not recommending it, but it's there. There's some decent information into it if you want to check it out. But he said that you shouldn't use Ghost Browser, which, as you all know, that's my default. I use that for everything. Is Ghost Browser and he said don't use it because it gets your map suspended. And me being me, I was like, yeah, whatever. So I tested it out. First off, I didn't believe it in the first place, but then I tested it just because to do my due diligence. And I took 4 of Digital Ear's maps. All 4 of those maps are over 2 years old. And I edited the service in there. Didn't change categories, didn't change phone numbers. I edited the service, which is a natural business thing to do. And I did 2 in Ghost and 2 in Chrome. And if you don't know anything about Ghost, it's built off of Chromium, the same thing that Chrome is built off of. So, and all 4 of those maps got suspended just for editing the service. I mean, so I'm kind of in a FU maps kind of phase in my life right now. So we'll see if we get those back. But when I do pages for suburbs, etc., like that, it's part of the silo for relevancy for my bigger city. In the case of Digital Ear, my biggest city is Phoenix, right? So Phoenix SEO, Phoenix web design is what I'm looking for. So I do the Tempe, Scottsdale, Mesa, Glendale pages and link to the Phoenix page to build relevancy to the Phoenix metropolitan area, which in turn boosts up my the organic rankings of my Phoenix SEO page. That's kind of how I think about that. And just so, because Terry Samuels is here, and just so you know, I'm number 14 in Phoenix now. Coming, mofo. Let's see. Any more questions? In the UK, I've had the best test results optimizing for the country capital and getting that to rank better, optimized for the optimized country for the country only. Correct. So like Arizona SEO, for example, and we'll kind of just stick on it because it's easier to explain, is a good supporting page for your Phoenix SEO or your Tucson SEO page to rank. Those are where the hard ones are. That's where the competition's at. And it's stupid relevant. So that works out better. And that's why you have a better chance of ranking for a country or a city when you're optimized and kind of ranking for the country. You know what I mean? So if I obviously I wouldn't do the United States. Been there, done with over the top SEO. We had like 300 plus page 1 top 3 rankings for SEO city SEO terms. And out of all of those, maybe 5 leads a week, couple a day, 2 during the week were actually good. So city SEO terms are great for your portfolio. This is what I can do. This will be competing against everyone else. But for leads, they're complete and utter crap. I was off on a tangent. Don't even know where I was going with that. Let's see. All changes from the same Google account. Correct. All of them are from the same Google account that I've owned them in for the last 2 years. It's my account, everything, my Google, my credit cards, my Google Cloud, my paid, all that stuff is paid through the same credit card. And it's all through that same account. So it's not like I had 50 spam link or spam maps and I was trying to game the system, as it were. These were all they were legit maps. There was no reason for them to get changed other than Google. F you, Google kiss my balls. So Jesus, I'm waiting 3 weeks for a verification postcard. Just waiting to go in there and find out if they're suspended. Maybe we'll talk to Jordan and see if he wants to come and talk about some of his map stuff. He's getting out of it, but I'd like to see, just bring him in here for some of that, to have that discussion, because the way I look at it, I'm going to get my 4 maps back one way or another. I may lose all the reviews and then I'll ask for more reviews. That's fine. And then I'll just leave them alone. And then since I can't be successful being legit on Google Maps, I'm going to town and I'm going to build spam maps to, forever. And if that's the way Google wants to play this game, then that's how we'll do it. You know what I mean? It's entirely unreasonable that you update, or business owners fear updating one simple thing. If I had gone in there and updated my hours and it's suspended, man, how, and you had all that time, money, etc., invested in your Google Maps, and you just updated your hours because you changed your hours and your map got suspended, or you updated your service because now you got more business and you can ask for more money, and that got your map suspended and that cost you business. How freaking horrible is that? So if Google's going to do that to real businesses, then I have no problem whatsoever filling up the state of Arizona with spam maps. So I'll build spam maps all day long. I'll sit for roofers as part of my that case study that we're going to do for the courses, and I'll send all those leads to Terry, and Terry can sell all those leads to his roofers, and I'll do it with a smile on my face for free, just because F you Google. That's kind of the way I look at it. If they're not going to take care of business owners, then that are doing it legit, then I have no interest in taking care of Google and the Google Maps program. So that's how that is. Thanks for sending me off on a tangent, Brittany. Jesus. All right, where did I leave you? PageSpeed. This is the tool I mentioned in the news stories. It's the PageSpeed Compare. I want to highlight this to you. One, dear God, don't give this to your clients, because once they get stuck on this core web vitals thing, you're never going to get them off. And as you can see here, this is this page is number 3, I think it was. Let me go see order. Let me show you the order. Phillips Law, Lambert, and JK. Phillips Law, look how slow that is. Lambert, that's okay. And then JK 14. This Lighthouse Core Web Vitals is not a damn ranking factor. Time to first byte and start render. That's all you need to know. Is it fast enough? Does my server respond? Can my users get it in under 3 seconds? If the answer is yes, your website is fast enough. Lighthouse and the Core Web Vitals is based off of mobile. You can see that right here. Significant proof. Why do you think they only give you mobile? And then 2, it's coming from a server. Unless you're using Lighthouse in your Chrome browser, it's coming from a server that has nothing to do with your target market. So using these tools and getting your clients hooked on them is way to set yourself up for failure. I don't know how to say it any clearer. Do not use these tools and get your clients hooked on them. But if you're already there and you just can't get out of it, this is a good one to help get your clients off of it. And just show, throw in the top 3. You can throw in the top 10. I didn't see if there's a limit on here, but I just threw these 5 sites in here to compare. And this will, if nothing else, it'll get your clients off of that metric, and they'll stop looking at it and stop beating you up over Core Web Vitals in PageSpeed. Okay. What I do still use is webpagetest.org, and you can see I'm good. There's some Core Web Vital stuff in here, but at the end of the day, this page is loading fine. The security score, this thing is crazy sensitive. There's some jQuery stuff in there that'll always bring it to F. So unless you're using like the most common or up-to-date jQuery, it's always going to bring an F in the security score. So I would just click it, look at it, and see if there's anything significant or important. But for the most part, keeping your website updated and using, as Terry Samuels from Saltaire recommends, it's an anti-malware by Eli. You put that on your webpage and you're pretty much okay. Just keep your website updated. Google's made it easy. They put an auto update function. Use it. Now you got no damn excuse. Okay. And the good thing about this tool is that you can come in here, you drop your URL, you set your actual location that is closest to you, and then you optimize for your primary target system that's using it. You can go into the advanced settings, and if your business is really dealing with people that are always coming to your website and buying on desktop, and why do you care how fast it is for 4G? As long as it's working on desktop really good, then that's the one to focus about. If you're always getting sales and stuff from 4G or mobile, then switch it over to mobile and check it out and run it, and you're good to go. So that's webpagetest.org, and that's how I look at this. And they're, like we saw, they're doing fine. First time, the first bite, little lagging. I would probably look at that and see what's doing it. It's probably a plugin. I might want to get that a little bit faster, but my start render time is perfectly fine. And my first contentful paint, perfectly fine. Both of those are under 3 seconds. So my website is good enough for users. And as you can see, the core web vital stuff matters not. And users does, and that's kind of where PageSpeed is carrying it off. Okay, so webpagetest.org. All others suck. We talked about those two things. I think that's it. That's all I got. You guys have any questions? Any other questions? Let me go to the chat. Yeah. Saltaire Web Services, GMBs suck and have for a while. Yep, I do. I think right now, the way I'm looking at it is build a GMB so you can establish the entity for your business. And then if you want to use maps for spam, you want to use maps for leads, then go ahead and just make fake maps. Don't associate it with your business. Do some landers, set up some call tracking numbers, use the business sites, and just do it that way. And God, don't put all your reviews onto there unless you have a plugin that will download those reviews for you. As a matter of fact, I'll show you guys the one that I'm using. Let me open up, make sure I don't have to put my credentials in. Business Reviews Bundle by Rich Plugins is the one that I have on Digital Ear. And what you do is you set up collections and it pulls all those collections in, and then this is the output. It's not bad at all, right? So I just told you my maps were all suspended and all this data is already still here because it's pulled it in and it saved it in my database. Thank Jesus, or else I would have lost all of those. So check out that plugin if you're using this or your clients are using this to pull in reviews, because you just never know what's going to happen on these third-party things and they're going to delete them all. So I would go back and look at that again. Rich Plugins. Let me open the site so you guys can see it. There you go. And there's some other things you can do with it, and there's some other features and stuff. But at the end of the day, I just I bought the business review bundle for WordPress. I don't even know what this is. Oh, there he is. Who was smart enough? Collections. Oh yeah, I could pull it all in and just save it on their system, and then look, there's some other options, sliver and display and all that other stuff, and then just use JavaScript. So if you don't have a WordPress site, there's that option too, and it'll pull it all in and it'll put it here. Again, it's on a third-party system now, so it's probably better for all of us to just kind of find a way to collect reviews directly on our website and not depend on those third-party services anymore. It's sad that it's kind of gotten to that place, but it's either that or just putting them all on Facebook, because Facebook, unless you, I don't know, talk about Trump or something, and you're going to be okay. Your page is not going to get deleted, right? I got some crazy spam pages that are still there. So, and I've never had a problem with pages and collecting reviews on Facebook. So maybe that's where we go. That's where you take your clients. Facebook ads are performing better than Google ads, I think, anyway. So let's see. When we Googs give up posting this core web vitals BS. They'll never. they'll never give that up because they want to get you tied onto mobile search. That's why the mobile first indexing, etc. And the reason why they do that is because if you ever did or use Google on mobile, right, that the experience is damn near 90% ads. And so that's why the AMP and Discovery Stories and Google Web Stories and all that stuff, it's all designed to keep you on feeding Google content that supports where most of the worldwide users are, and that's on a mobile device to increase their ad revenue. So Core Web Vitals will always be promoted in that way because they want you to strive to make the mobile web faster so that they can monetize your content a whole lot better. So that's never going away. Let's see. The one issue with that plugin is that it'll mess up your on page when it pull news reviews from the API unless you whitelist a specific reviews. Yeah, kind of. So unless if you're smart and you're watching this show, so obviously you're smart, you talk to your customers and the people that are leaving your reviews, and you make sure that they mention either your service, your location, or your brand name, and the on page is fine. I put this on the Phoenix page. I'm pretty sure I did already. I know I put them on one of them. I may have put them on the whole thing. But all my reviews, as a matter of fact, let me just show you. IMAX screen. Look at it. SEO services. It's in there. I didn't ask for them to do it. They just, I kind of did. Hey, mention if I helped you, or what did I say? If I helped you in any way, can you leave it in there and let me know? So SEO services, there's my brand, internet marketing, deep knowledge of Google, highly recommended. That's an entity, right? It helps Google. You can't write an SEO post without talking about Google. Digital Lear, that's my brand. Let's see, processes, deploy. Let's see. Great company. So SEO company. There you go. It's related. Help me out. Different clue. That's kind of generic. SEO, digital marketing, my brand, Google, highly recommended. My name, Digital Lear, Phoenix marketing firm, digital marketing firm. So the point is in saying all that is, to your point, Connor, when you're asking for reviews, make sure you say, hey, Mr. Customer Woman, can you write me a review? And when you do, just mention the service that I provided for you. And there's your relevance in your reviews. So you're not diluting your API. And you can do filters and stuff like that if you want to, but if you're smart right off the get-go and talking about those things that, I've done positive things for X, Y, and Z. That's how it works. Yeah. Like Terry said there, service and location. There's another feature in Maps too when you leave a review. Let me open one up. Let's go to Solterra. We could practice this if you wanted to. I don't know, Terry. You want me to? I can bring up your map. Solterra web design. I'm going to bring up Terry's map. So when you're doing this, right, you do the links and you can get, what the hell is this thing called? Gather up, and you get this review link and you send it to your clients, blah, blah, blah. And what it does is it opens up this little thing here, and you can leave a review or edit your review. So I did a review for Terry because his wife redesigned what ranks for us and made our logos and all that stuff and gave us some good start points. So I put that in there. So if you look how I did it, how I hooked up Terry is there's relevance, Phoenix, web design, web development services, and the SEO is all in my review. If I wanted to edit, or if I was leaving a brand new one, there's some other features in here too that you can actually do, and it's not going to pop up, unfortunately, for this one. Let me see if I can get it to you for one of my personas. write a review. There we go. Good value, good quality, professional, responsive. These are all the things. These are words you can, if you're with your client, hey, use those words, or if not, just click these little buttons right here and you're good to go. Right. And then you can leave the review for them. Like this is a legit review. Like these guys have actually helped me out. Helping us refine our brand recognition for our training website and helping us as we build more effective applications of schema markup for SEO. For SEO, I already used applications, so I don't want to use too much. SEO purposes when optimizing on-page elements for our many Phoenix and Arizona based clients. Okay. So this is a legit review. We did some stuff. Terry and we always talk about schema. So I'm not making some fake up review up. But look, there's branding, brand recognition is in there. Website is in there. Effective applications, schema markup is in there. SEO, Phoenix, Arizona, good quality, good value, professional service, and responsive. Let's see, has worked with us, is a high quality or good quality. Good quality, professional service that has been responsive to our needs while they have worked with us to refine our brand recognition for our training website and blah, 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 blah. Boom. Now, I would imagine that review is way more valuable than just blah, blah, blah. Thanks for, they did a great job. I did some testing, and the review stuff doesn't really help with the rankings, but if Terry was pulling that in there, it certainly boosted the on-page relevance of his website, right? Because I essentially stuffed the hell out of that. And that's what you need to ask your customers to do. Don't just, here, leave me a review and thank you, and just kind of leave it up to them and hope to God that they mention that stuff. Direct them. Tell them what you want. They can't tell you no if you don't ask. So, and that's kind of how you handle that. Us refine our brand. Sorry. Yeah. Whatever, Mr. Grammar Man. I don't have Grammarly turned on for that website, so that's all you get. All right. So just a reminder, here's the link in the little ticker there, digitalear.com/SEO this week /episode 179. Thank you all for joining me live. I appreciate it. I love having people to talk to you and questions to answer. It's way more fun than just me blabbing to myself and to my camera. So I appreciate all of that. Next week, I'll think about it, but I think what I'll do is go over the content creation stuff. I'll give that to you guys. It's part of my over the shoulder series, but I'll give you guys that, and I'll show you how I went from creating content with users for zero consideration for SEO to an optimized page that's ranking in the top 20 for a really hard keyword with just content. I haven't even done the schema stuff yet, so I haven't even optimized it. I don't even think I think there's one image on that page, and it's doing good. So I'll show you guys all that next week. And thank you all. And if you again, give a shout out to Terry for all the good stuff he does. You saw his link at how to find him now. Go leave him a review. I think he'd appreciate it. And see you guys next week.